Today, we are diving deep into a huge puzzle at the very heart of modern medicine. We're going to talk about why the exact same pill can be a total lifesaver for one person and basically a poison for another. The answer, as you'll see, is incredibly personal.
I mean, think about it. You've probably experienced this, right? A standard painkiller works perfectly for your friend, but it barely makes a dent in your own headache. Or maybe a really common prescription drug gives you awful side effects, while someone else takes it with no problems at all. This isn't just some minor thing, it's a really critical medical mystery.
And it's a mystery with some pretty serious consequences. Take a look at this number, 100,000. That's the estimated number of people who die every year in the US alone from adverse drug reactions. So yeah, this is a massive public health issue that scientists and doctors are racing to figure out.
And it turns out, the key to solving this puzzle isn't just about your age, or your weight, or your lifestyle, though, all those things definitely matter. The most fundamental answer is actually written into our genetic code. It's hiding in plain sight, right inside our DNA.
So this leads us to a really revolutionary idea in medicine. What if we could move beyond the one-size-fits-all approach? What if, before you ever took a single pill, we could read your personal medical blueprint, your genes, to predict exactly how you'll react?
The science that makes this possible is called pharmacogenetics. It sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's the study of how your unique genetic code changes your body's response to drugs. And the goal? Well, the ultimate goal is to give doctors the power to pick the perfect drug at the perfect dose for you specifically, every single time.
Now, you might also hear another term thrown around, pharmacogenomics. They sound almost the same, but there's a really important difference. The easiest way to think about it is this. Pharmacogenetics kind of zooms in, looking at how maybe one or a few specific genes affect a drug. Pharmacogenomics, on the other hand, zooms out. It's looking at the big picture, how all of your genes, your entire genome, work together to influence how you respond.
Okay, so how does our DNA actually do all this? Well, it turns out there are two main ways our genes control what happens to a drug once it's inside our bodies. And those two ways are called pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. So pharmacokinetics is basically what the body does to the drug. You can think of your body like a processing plant. How fast does it absorb the drug? How well does it break it down? And how quickly does it get rid of it? Pharmacodynamics is the flip side, what the drug does to the body. This is more like the drug acting as a key, and it has to fit a specific lock or a receptor on your cells to work. Your genes can totally change both the processing plant and the shape of the lock.
Let's stick with that processing plant idea for a second, the kinetics part. It is absolutely wild to realize just how much work is being done by one tiny family of genes. Just 6 genes from this family, called cytochrome P450, do all the heavy lifting. They're responsible for metabolizing or breaking down over 90% of the drugs we commonly use. Just 6.
And this chart just shows it perfectly. Just look at that. One single enzyme, CYP3A4, is responsible for processing almost half, 43% of common drugs, all by itself. So your genetic code decides if you're a poor, normal, or even an ultra-rapid metabolizer. If you break down a drug too slowly, it can build up and become toxic. But if you break it down too fast, it might get flushed out of your system before it even has a chance to work.
But how your body processes a drug is really only half the story. Sometimes the most dangerous reactions have nothing to do with metabolism at all. Instead, it's when your body's own defense system gets confused.
These are what we call hypersensitivity reactions. And in these situations, your immune system basically makes a huge mistake. It sees a totally harmless medicine as a dangerous invader and launches an all-out attack, which can be absolutely devastating.
So how can a simple drug trigger a 5-alarm fire in your immune system? Well, this diagram shows the molecular handshake that goes terribly wrong. See, our cells have these special proteins on their surface called HLA proteins. They're kind of like molecular ID scanners. For some people, a specific gene variant causes these scanners to actually grab onto a drug molecule and show it to the immune system as if it's a major threat. And that's when these T cells get the wrong signal and go on the attack.
And hey, this isn't just a theory. We've got stone-cold proof. This table shows direct, proven links between specific HLA gene variants and terrible reactions to certain drugs. For example, we now know that people with the HLA B5801 gene are at an incredibly high risk for a life-threatening skin reaction if they take allopurinol, which is a really common drug for gout.
The amazing part is, by screening for this one gene beforehand, we can prevent that horrible reaction from ever happening.
So here's the really crucial point. The tools to make medicine truly personal already exist. We can do this now. So, what does that mean for the future of your healthcare?
Well, the potential is just enormous. Just imagine drug labels that actually include genomic information. A doctor could use a quick, simple genetic test to see who is most likely to respond to a medicine, who might be at risk for side effects, and what the absolute perfect dose should be, just for you. That is the promise of tailor-made medicine. Of course, let's be realistic. We're not quite there yet. There are still some pretty big hurdles to get over in the real world. Who pays for all this testing? How do we make sure our genetic data stays private and secure? And, maybe most importantly, how do we train all of our doctors and nurses to actually use this incredibly complex information in their day-to-day work? These are the big challenges we still need to solve. And all of that leaves us with one final question. And this one's for you to think about. The technology is here. We can read your personal medical blueprint. It could help you dodge a dangerous side effect, or maybe find a treatment that works perfectly when nothing else has. So, knowing all this, would you do it? Would you get tested?